Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
This is Matt.
This is Shadowgate. At least our conversation on Shadowgate, because if you're joining us for the first time, is this a review, Matt?
I don't think it is, Chris. I think it's a more book club format.
I think so too. So if you're looking for, should you buy this, should you not buy this? It's over 20 years old. By now, there's 100 other people who are going to tell you that information. We're just going to talk about how we had time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll take about an hour, maybe on this one.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a ton to dig into with Shadowgate. I think sometimes with kind of these puzzly games, it's easy to get into the minutia of the puzzles because a lot of them, they vary in quality.
Yes.
The puzzles definitely vary in quality in these games, and it's just a function of having so many puzzles in one game. They're not all going to be knock it out of the park puzzles.
Right. But if you've ever played a grab object B, use it on widget C to make effect D happen, this is that kind of game.
Yeah, with a Mac.
Yeah.
The Mackiest interface ever.
I was going to say, I'm going to start playing this.
Yeah,
the first part of my video is the 1987 Mac version.
Very nice.
As done by Steam, I think, in this case. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can get this on Steam, and it comes. I like it because it comes with the GS version and the Mac version, and they're both pretty comparable.
Mm-hmm.
They're both charming. Like, I found this game to be just intensely charming, just from the sheer mackiness of the interface.
Yes.
And just the way you interact with it. The text, like, I really enjoyed it, and it's got some really good moments and overall a good game.
Yeah, if you want to review and you like puzzle games, I'd check it out. It's a classic. It's again, like you said, some of the puzzles I'm probably gonna gripe about here in a little bit, but for the most part, it's fine.
Yeah.
How far did you get? Do you feel like you got a long way into it?
I think I probably got around halfway into it.
Okay.
Like, you can approach it there's multiple paths, so it's kind of hard to get a sense for where you got. There's definitely like some gates, but
yeah, and you might have to double back for some of them. We'll get in it. We're off format. Not that we have.
Yeah, one. Yeah. So this came. Let's talk about when this came out. 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty good for 1987.
Especially on the Mac.
Yeah, really nice line art. I love the art style especially in the Mac version.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. And this is a Mac Venture game, and I think there were only like 4 Mac Venture games. And the other one I played was Deja Vu on the Nintendo.
It's funny you said Nintendo. My first interaction with Shadowgate was Nintendo.
I think that was pretty common. I think this was probably way more popular on the Nintendo than it was on any other platform. Like, if you Google it, almost everyone has playthroughs of the Nintendo version and the manual from the Nintendo version. You kind of have to dig around to find the GS or the Mac stuff, but it's out there.
Yeah. I don't mind that. So yeah, I didn't know that about the Mac Venture things, that there were only like 4 of them.
Yeah, there was Deja Vu 2, Shadowgate, and one other one, like Uninvited, I think, which is kind of like Proto Seventh Guest, it looks like. I never played Uninvited. Did you?
I haven't played Uninvited. I want to. Like, I remember like the box cover for it looking so weird it put me off. But now that I've played this and know more about this, I want to go back and try it. I'm just reading, like, all the Mac Venture games came out for the Amiga, the Apple II, the Atari ST, the Commodore 64, the PC, the Pocket PC, and the NES.
The Pocket PC? That's an unexpected twist.
Right.
What the fuck is that?
The Pocket PC?
Yeah, what's a Pocket PC?
Let's just look up the official... Also known by Microsoft as a Windows Mobile class device, is kind of personal digital assistant that runs the Windows Mobile operating system.
Oh.
As of 2010, thousands of applications have existed. So this is a newer.
Okay, that makes sense because I think I know of it in that context.
Right.
But
you're like trying to picture a 1985 pocket PC and like.
Yeah, right.
What? How big were those people's pockets? Yeah. Well, we were starting to get into Junkos, so it could have been something.
Yeah.
And somebody out there just went, they're Jinkos. I'm like, there's no vowels. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, you can put whatever vowel you want in there.
O's a vowel. You know what I mean.
Jinkos. Yeah. Man, those were some ugly fucking pants.
Oh my God.
My girlfriend, when I was in high school, had the biggest pair of Jinkos in the world. They were just gigantic pants. So ridiculous.
I was not part of the culture that understood them.
No. I mean, I didn't either. I never had them, but
no.
I just, man, some big fucking pants.
If you remember, when you met me when they were out, I was the other direction where you're like, we got to talk to you about your tight pants. We got to.
You wore the highest, tightest pants of anyone I ever met.
Yeah.
In my whole life.
Yeah.
And, I gave you shit about it, but there's something about it I respect, I think. Like,
Yeah, this is me. This is who I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You widened them and brought them down, and then my wife widened them a little more and brought them down further. And so now I'm yeah. I'm not to Junkos by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I'm in a normal size pant now.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in like the socially acceptable pant category.
Right. Also, if you're joining us for the first time, we go off the rails.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about stuff not related to the game. Sometimes about Mac Venture and that sort of little history, and sometimes about my pants.
Yep.
Not a scripted show by any stretch of the imagination. Okay.
Yeah, can you imagine the outline for this? If we're scripted, it would be a disaster.
It would be such a disaster. We'd look at it and go, no, we're not putting that on the air. That's not something we're doing. So we talked a little bit about the graphics. There's very little sound, but there is some sound. What did you think of it?
That was one of the things that I loved about this game. It has legitimate jump scares, and it was one of the. I think it's the earliest game I can think of that had like legitimate intentional jump scares. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think the first time I talked to Mesron and Questron, that scared the shit out of me. But this has like stuff jumping out at you.
The whole screen.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I really liked it. And they did a good job by having it so minimal that you really don't expect it.
Yes.
I got a big kick out of it.
Because nothing in this is animated. It's just sort of stick drawing, and then you're dragging stuff around and playing it that way. Well, I guess I shouldn't say nothing's animated. They do have some like moving pieces here and there, but the background's static.
Right. Stuff will jump out. In this room where the rat runs by, like that's a good moment. It just adds some richness to the world. But for the most part, you're not looking at very dynamic scenes.
Did you try to rub your dick on it?
I did not in this playthrough. I grew up on these games, man.
I know.
Demon Forge and Dark Lord. Those were like a little less mouse driven. With this game, one of the things I liked about this game is that it reminded me of. Do you remember the movie Big?
Yes.
In the opening scene of Big, he's playing some video game where he's like, it's like a game like this where you type the commands and he's battling a wizard. When I was a kid, I wanted to play that video game so bad, and I never knew what it was. And every time I play one of these, I think about that, and it's like kind of getting there.
Yeah, it's not a real game.
I know, that's so sad,
isn't it? Because I think all of us wanted to play that game.
Yeah,
like just that wizard thing. It's like I don't know what that is, but I want that game.
Right. Fucking Demon's Forge. That thing there were some outrageous puzzles in that game. We should play that.
We should. We absolutely should. I'm not sure if it's on the list, but we'll make sure it gets on there.
Yeah. But anyway, this is kind of that similar feeling where every new scene feels dramatic in some way because, you're somewhere new and you don't know what's going to be there, and it's not like every room is different and every room is interesting in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're static scenes.
Yeah.
And so there's no, I mean, there's a few hallways, of course, but
Right.
but it's not like a maze. Like every scene is interesting and there's stuff to do.
Here's one of the things. Like, we just watched me die because my torches ran out, and I do want to have a conversation about forced time limits and how torches are used to create that. But before that, I want to talk about how there are surprise deaths in this.
A lot.
A lot. And yet, I never feel as salty about the ones in this game as I do about the ones in King's Quest.
This was the main reason I was very interested to have this conversation with you, because we have talked at various times about games where the main way it gives you feedback is to kill you.
Yes.
And this is one of those games. Like, this is a game where you're going to die all the time. You're going to die doing things that don't seem wrong to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll just die.
Yeah.
And that's how the game is telling you that you did the wrong thing, even though it may not have been.
I see, but I think it always is. Like, in this room, I don't do it here, but if you open that first coffin, by the way, spoilers, if you open that coffin on the left, a bunch of ooze pours out, and there's sort of nothing you can do about it. You can't go past it. It blocks you from going a different path in the game. I think it blocks you from finishing the game.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
But there's not a trick where, okay, I need to open that and get past the ooze, and I just am not figuring out how to do it with no other clues. The ooze comes out every time you open it. You always die when you try to get past it. There's no variance in the death. It's always going to be the same iterative death no matter how many times I try to go past it.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Interesting.
When it's... And this is my problem with the flashback, where there were things I did that worked, and I'll do exactly the same thing, and it won't. That pisses me off. Because now I don't know, is it the game just rolling dice and I don't get to do it? Is it I had the speed the first time but don't the second time? Is it...
You're talking about... Those are like action sequence deaths, right? Because the puzzles were pretty normal. I think that's really fair. And like, this isn't like me trying to get you on something.
No, I don't feel like that. This is why we do this. Yeah.
But I think it is a certain kind of game that kills you over and over again. And I tend to like those games a lot because it's really definitive. You're not really wandering around in murkiness, wondering if you fucked up in such a way that you can't finish the game.
Right.
So I kind of like that instant feedback, even when it doesn't make a lot of sense, which in this game, it doesn't often make a lot of sense.
It doesn't always make a lot of sense. But comparing to the other side, Hacker, where you can literally take a step the wrong direction as your first move and end the game and not know it.
Right.
Your deaths are instant, like you just said. You're dead.
Yep.
And it pops up, would you like to reload? And boom, you pick something, you're back in the game wherever you last saved. And you can know, okay, I made it all the way to this room. I remember how to get here. I'm going to save. And then I'm going to try some stuff. And then you can experiment and have fun and enjoy that death sequence because you're like, what happens if I stick these two wires together? I get electrocuted. Okay, let's not stick those two wires together.
Right. Right. There's a built-in subversiveness in those kind of games where you can kind of tell that they're delighting in killing you in these cruel kind of ways. And I have always been really attracted to the meanness of that. Like I
there's
really
a horror
like
element, and we both kind of like horror game or horror movies and stuff like that to some extent. Not full on, but we like them. And so a little bit of, is this what's going to get me? Adds to that tension in a game. And I think that's a good thing. As long as it's not overdone, as long as it's not Like King's Quest, that rock, for example, you have to push the rock. But if you push the rock in the wrong way, it's a cheesy death as it rolls over you.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that wrong way the first time, there's no indication that you should have done the right way. True. You just think that the rock will kill you if you push it. And you might end up with something else. So that to me is unfair. But if every time I open that pit and try to go down it without throwing a rope or anything, I break my legs and die, that's fair.
Right. You can teach me that lesson once,
and I will
learn it, and I won't do it again.
Yes.
And that is absolutely, it's fine with me. And it's interesting that it's fine with you. I think that you the way you describe it is really clear. Like,
yeah,
it's mean but logical.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't teach you a bad lesson about the game.
Right.
With that said, I feel like this game does kind of leave you in the dark at times when it shouldn't.
Yes.
My story about that, there's that room with the dragon.
Yes.
And I was there, and like I said, it's not linear. Like, you're gated off from certain parts of the game, but it's not like one room, then the next room, then the next room. You're kind of wandering around.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there, and I picked up the shield, and then the dragon shoots fire at you. And then it was like, oh, your inventory's full. But I had a bunch of stuff that I hadn't used yet. That to me was really a frustrating moment of the game, and probably was the low point for me, because I was like, okay, well, now I'm standing in this room with this dragon. I have to drop stuff. Every time I do anything, he shoots fire at me. Like, that is not a good position to be in.
No.
And yes, you can go back and pick up stuff that you dropped.
Right.
But I don't like having to make that decision without any information. Like, okay, do I drop this broom? Like, I haven't used the broom yet. I don't know what it's for. I don't think it's useful, but
I don't feel the inventory limit is a necessary game mechanic. It
I
doesn't
totally
add
agree.
anything to the game. It doesn't make it more challenging. It doesn't make it anything. It's just an arbitrary limit they put on for reasons. I can't even tell you what the reasons are.
And you get no feedback about when your inventory is going to be full.
Right.
And the other thing they do that I think is wrong from a game design standpoint is you can't always bank on once you use something, you never need it again.
Right. I don't mind that, but it's that or the inventory limits.
Exactly.
You don't get to do both.
Exactly. Don't make me guess what I'm going to need again. So that was one of the things that took me out of the game and made me kind of be like, I don't know if I like this really.
I think eventually learn what you need. I mean, that is...
Yeah.
And this is, again, we're coming at this, and we say this like every fucking game. We're coming at this from a 2020 playthrough of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to 1987, where you've got 5 games for your system, and this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to mind trying to figure it out. This is your entertainment.
Right.
This is, I'm going to not figure this out today. I know that going in. I'm going to write my notes. I'm going to put it in a little notebook aside. And when I got a half hour tomorrow, I'll try and figure another puzzle out. And you approach it in this sort of methodical, long-term, long goal of someday I'm going to beat this, and I'm going to then go pop a beer because I'm going to be ecstatic and I earned it.
Right.
And everything was fun, and the stuff that knocked me back and knocked me down makes the ending feel better.
Right. Right.
That's not today.
Totally. Yeah. The way you played this in 87 was exactly like that. Like, you get stuck, and then one day you find that loose rock,
mm-hmm.
and it feels like a whole new game has opened up, and you don't really have that experience anymore.
Right.
With games, because people just don't tolerate that amount of stuckness anymore. I especially not in our situation where we're trying to see as much of the game in a month.
Right.
And we also talk about this constantly, I know, but it is very true. It's a totally different experience because the moments that make these games great are those like, oh, something new just opened up and now I have this new scene that I've never seen and it feels different and there's, different drama in every scene.
There's part of me that can't wait for the day I retire, like just leave working entirely and can go back to some of these games and play them that way. The kids have moved out. My job is done. I can wake up in the morning, bring my coffee in or my tea or whatever I'm going to drink and sit down and just try to figure out how to get that rope to work. And that's my morning. I'll then go do other stuff for the rest of the day. But for my morning, it's how the fuck do I make the rope work?
Yep.
And enjoy trying to puzzle it out and then be like, okay, that's my equivalent of the crossword. That's my something for today.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I miss that feeling. What did you think? You mentioned earlier the torches.
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
Tell me, doctor. We've just sucked away 1 year of your life. How does that make you feel? So, I like that the time limit mechanic is in-world lore-wise. Does that make sense? Like,
yes,
there's
you have some agency over it.
You have some agency over it. It makes sense that, okay, if I run out of torches in this dark place, I'm in trouble. If you have something on the wall that's lit, like you're in that room with the candles and your torch goes out, there's still enough light to do something. So there's options,
Which is a great design. Like, they really deserve credit for that because it changes the way the room looks and everything.
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
I know. I have one gripe. It's sort of a gripe and a half. There's not enough notification that your torch is dying. And in some cases, like your first torch, it dies super fast and there is zero notification. Your first torch, which should be the biggest spotlight of torches are a thing, gets no notification and you fucking die. And that feels needlessly mean-spirited.
I agree. As mean-spirited as this game is, those kinds of things are, to me, threaten to push it over the line into not fun.
Right.
And the other thing I really did not like about the torch mechanic is that I didn't get it. Like, you're not. It seemed like piddly little shit to bother me with because you don't have those moments where you're like, am I gonna get a torch? I have to like haul ass, to somewhere and find one. Because you spend so much time just bopping around to different rooms trying things, it just feels like you're bothering me with something more than it feels like a source of narrative tension in the game.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like a reading comprehension test. Like, am I paying enough attention to my text box so I pick up that my torch is going to go out?
And if they had done that, like dimming, like you got like 5 moves when the torch dims, that would be a great, I'm going to add a spooky element, I'm going to obscure details in the room, and give you a really obvious alert that your torch is dying. That would be a good mechanic. Do that, and I can almost get over the rest of it. That you have to, and this is where, like, that coupled with balancing your inventory, I could be like, okay, we got to make sure we only have so many torches. But the way it is, like, I'm not sure how many is too many or too little, because I don't know how long the game is. Do I need to strip every torch off the wall?
Right.
And this is where replaying and stuff like that would help. But it was also the thing I wanted to talk about backtracking, because you will need to backtrack. And you're going to need to balance that. Do I want to burn through torches to backtrack? Or, do I want to drop a torch to, like, is it worth dropping a torch so I don't have to backtrack because I'd burn through it going.
Right. to me, it became a save management game
Yes.
for that reason. Like, okay, so I'm going to save. Now I'm going to figure out this puzzle and like burn through like 4 torches doing it. And then I'll load and because really it's like 45 seconds of actual work to get through the puzzle.
And there's my thing too. This isn't an arcade game that's trying to get your quarters. Who cares? The puzzles are the things that are supposed to make you take a while. Like dealing with this troll.
Mm-hmm.
This is the puzzle. This is what stops you. Not whether or not I've got 5 torches. That's not what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me feel smart, and it doesn't make me feel like I'm figuring something out. I love this jump scare, by the way.
God, it's so good, yeah. I love the death drawing and this drawing. They're just so great. Like those, they're just wonderful, wonderful artwork.
Yeah. I've got the remaster version we'll talk about in a second here at the end of this video, too, so we'll get to see that for a little bit.
Yeah.
The one thing I will, if we double back, I want to give like one knock against the artwork. Because it is all this monochrome drawn thing, it's not always obvious what you can interact with in the world. And there have been a couple times where I missed that there was a torch on the wall or a lever on the floor or something like that.
Right. The GS version, I think, is a little nicer about that. Like you can really spot the secret things in the walls if you're paying attention. And that kind of brings me to one of my other complaints about this. Some of the puzzles are a little bit redundant and samey. Like you're going to find yourself burning a few things with torches. Like that's definitely a go-to. There's a lot of like exits hidden behind rocks and things. But I think it's okay. It's not bad, but it is like, oh yeah, okay, like another time I have to throw a torch at someone, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it is definitely easier to see those hidden things, I think, in the GS version.
Where there's some color to it, and you can be like, oh, that's something different. That's not just part of the wall. Like the cloak in, I don't remember which room. Like, I didn't see it like my first 5 times going through there.
Yeah.
Did you look anything up in playing through this?
Yes, I'm trying to remember. I think I looked up. I think I missed on my first go through that you have to get that ice orb back. I definitely didn't do that and had to go back.
I had to look up because I was able to do it in the Nintendo version, but I couldn't figure out here as I knew there was something behind the waterfall.
Right. Yeah. I did find that on my own, but it was difficult to get back there.
Yeah. Because it doesn't work the way the other mechanics work. So it was one of those things where the game's taught you all these things, and then it's changed it here with no clue that it has.
Right.
And again, that's kind of okay. Like, it is one of those moments where I could see me back in 1987 in the summer when I'm not going to school going, oh, I figured this out.
Right.
And being super stoked. But today it just makes me a little salty.
Yeah.
I like the size of this game. Like, there is some stuff that's sort of samey, but there's also a lot that's different.
Right.
And it feels like it keeps going. You feel like, okay, I'm getting to the end, and really you're just getting out of the caves, and now you're in the castle proper.
Right.
And you're like, okay, now I got to do all this.
And it's cool. It's cool to like see new monsters and stuff as you're going through it too. It feels like there's a great variety of dangers in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. There's that part where you come to the 2 bridges, the rickety one and the stone one. There's something about like just how obvious it is that you shouldn't take the rickety one. And if you think you're clever, you're gonna find out that you really weren't that clever, and you just like die.
You're dead now.
This game kills you in a unceremonious, repetitive way that I like.
There's something nice and fun about that. There really is.
Totally. That fucking guy. Thou art dead.
Yeah, I had a hard time with this puzzle because I'm like, I know I'm supposed to use the spear on him because he pulls out his spear, so I'm like, I must need to use my spear. And I just struggled with this one. This one was a little tough for me.
Yeah, the puzzles are like you can get lucky with some of the puzzles. Like I think I got lucky getting behind the waterfall right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not easy.
Mm-hmm.
But once you know once you know the answer to the puzzles, you could probably burn through this in an hour. If you knew
Probably
all the
about.
answers to all the puzzles, or even less, probably.
You'd have to hustle, but yeah, that sounds about right. You could really do that because it's going to be the same thing every time, and so that's kind of nice. We talked about the instructions a little bit for this. What'd you think of the instructions?
I thought it was a really solid manual. Like they know what the game is. They're really clear. Like the first thing they tell you is operate things on things.
Mm-hmm.
Like okay, like that's mostly what the game is. I thought it was a good manual. It's not heavy on plot, but the plot kind of comes out as you play through the game, which I usually like.
Yeah,
it's kind of like keeps you going.
Yeah, no, I thought the manual was really solid. It had screenshots in it. It did what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
There, now I got him.
Yeah. I kind of had some, like, I think I had a similar problem with the dragon the first time. Like, I think I tried to use the shield, but I don't think I used it quite the right way.
Right.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, so that's the thing with this. Like, you're like, okay, I didn't use it the right way, but you know what I mean? Like, you did something different,
right,
and to go back and try again. It wasn't totally obvious. I'm just trying to let this. I don't remember how much longer I go past this before I start the new version. Yeah. We can talk about that a little bit too, because normally we don't talk about stuff that's under 20 years old, and the remake obviously isn't. But it's so different. I want us to talk about it.
Right? Yeah, and I think it's worth looking at because I really like the art style. Like something about these Shadowgate games just like must lend itself to really cool art because the remake has some good stylistic choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I can take any of his stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any GS footage?
I don't. I just went to the two sides, and I did play the GS a little bit, though.
I think I played the GS mostly and dabbled in this one and the remake. I think this is the version I like the best, the Mac one.
I agree.
I like the line style art.
This takes me back to middle school. Like this version, all the other versions are good. Even the Nintendo version, like you'd think, well, that should take you back to middle school. No, that doesn't. This,
the windowed interface is what does it for me, man.
This is your school computer lab, man. This
right. This is like how they would have taught you to point and click. In 8th grade, in a fun way.
Right. I might just jump ahead.
Let's jump ahead. Oh, you got farther than I did.
Yeah, I got into this library here. This is about halfway, and when I've played it originally, oddly, my wife, who like has a very special feeling for this game, is the one who's like, we're playing Shadowgate together a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
As we were getting to the end, she's like, I don't remember some of these puzzles, and some of them were so obtuse that I'm like, I have to look these up. Yeah. And when I did, I'm like, fuck you, there's no way I would have known that. Because they do get harder and harder towards the end.
Right. I think that's pretty common with a lot of these games that some of the puzzles are so weird and obscure that you end up just kind of like needing,
Yep.
or maybe if it were 1987, you'd stumble on an answer. And I remember, I mean, if we're going to play Demon's Forge, I'm sure we'll talk about it again, but I remember that was the first time I ever dug through source code of anything.
Oh,
Was
yeah?
trying to figure out how to get unstuck in Demon's Forge. That was like a formative moment for me, I think.
I can see that. I can see that.
So this
is
the
obviously
remake.
not on the Mac.
Yeah. It looks like oil painting style. It's really beautiful. And I think I would recommend this to people, but I would say that it loses so much of the charm of the original. It has a charm of its own with the art style and everything, but man, if you want to experience Shadowgate, I think you should play it on the Mac, unless you don't like it. I mean, unless you like something different, but that's what I enjoyed the most, I think.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this because I knew we were going to have this conversation of which one. Which one do you tell people to play? And it really depends on what type of person you are and honestly whether or not you're going to be in my life for any length of time. Because if there's something where I want us to bond about it, I'm going to tell you to go play the Mac version.
Sure.
Without hesitation. Because then you'll have your first formative thing will be the Mac version. We'll have that in common. We'll share that.
Right.
If I'm never going to see you again, and I don't think you like hard puzzle games, but you still want to know what Shadowgate is about, this is fine. This is, I'd say this is enjoyable and playable. And
yeah. And it looks nice, and it's a little more gentle on you, I think. Like it's got more plot. It starts with these cutscenes. They really tried to make the world richer, but still stay in the Shadowgate kind of universe.
Yeah. Like, I wasn't going to play the Mac version, oddly, when we started this. Because, like, I've done it. I've done it on that, and I've done it on Nintendo. So I'm like, I don't need to play that for this. But I started playing this, and the puzzles were so different. And I'm like, am I remembering it wrong? Am I, what is going on here? So even if you've played the original and you're like, I have it memorized inside, outside, upside down, this might still be a good recommendation because it does change just enough stuff that you can't hold on to a guarantee that you know what you know.
Yeah. And
it deliberately does those like cutscenes like we saw to really give you the lore and expand the world. And so if this is something that you're interested in and you want to know more about it and the other things with Shadowgate, I would check this out. It is beautiful. It is.
Yeah, they made bold style choices, and I think it was the right thing to do.
It's not as charming.
It's not as charming, and you kind of lose that kind of like lonely, mysterious feeling a little bit.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why. Like, there's elemental kind of things thrown around in here, and I think coming from playing the original immediately to playing this, it has such a different feeling. I think that you can't help but compare them. But I think if you played Shadowgate in 1987, and liked it, I would say give this a shot because it's really well done, and it'll kind of like scratch the same itch but be new.
Here's the other thing this one does that I think would help people coming into this who might not normally be interested in these kind of games or be doing them for the first time. There's an auto map in the game. And it's a good one.
Yeah.
I do eventually get to some footage of it, but it does the like bubble map where there's a box and a line and a box and a line, and it lets you really kind of see where you're going and what you're doing. Oh, here we go. Like, now I've only got 2 rooms on here, but each room you go to, it shows the lines back. So you can...
Right. And it looks good.
And I wish it would let you add notes, but other than that,
Yeah.
That's a great map. The inventory system's a little wonky. They added spells in a different way, which is a little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really like that quite as much.
No, I didn't either. Spells feel like gates to me.
Yeah.
More than items do. And I know that's dumb, but...
Yeah. I mean, when you have the right spell for a situation, it's pretty obvious, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't play this a ton. Like I said, I mostly played the GS version. But what I did play, it was like, oh, okay, like I totally know where I'm going to use this spell when I got it. Maybe there's times when you use them more creatively, but that wasn't my experience in the very early game.
And so that's kind of my, that's why I wanted you to see this. I wanted you to go, so they remade this, made it look gorgeous. These are the things they kind of changed. These are the things they didn't. Yeah, no torch limit in this.
Yeah. A good call.
Yep, you can still light torches in all the rooms. So I think there's something where you probably get some special ending if you light all the torches in the castle, but...
Oh, yeah, like a Steam achievement or something?
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no torch limit. I was... It actually counter-served me when I went back in to play on the Mac version because I had forgotten about torches, and so...
Right. I remember now, I looked up that green torch that you have to throw with the Grim Reaper. There's like a special torch, I think.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. I think I looked that up.
Because in here, in the new one, you can just do it with a torch. In the old version, I'm like, my torch isn't working.
Yeah. But yeah, it's moody and beautiful, so
yeah,
that's great.
Here comes a good jump scare. I like this one. I thought this guy reminded me of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark with that face.
Yeah.
It's all messed up and
right. Very, very cool. So yeah, so we are obligated to say we like this though because your wife loves this game.
Yes, so she knows where we live. We love it, honey.
Everything about it is perfect.
No one would ever say a bad word about it. Now, if you please turn off. Thank you. Oh my God, I hated this game. No, I didn't. I liked it. I genuinely like it, would recommend it. It's fun. It feels like a late 80s game. It puts me in that time.
Yeah. Just pay attention to your torches.
Inventory is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And if you're really, I would say if you're really, really stuck, do what we used to do where you just allow yourself a year or so to try and get through the game. But if you are not wired that way, like 99% of the population anymore, internet's there, baby.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're probably self-isolated right now, so do you really need to get through this faster?
True. Very true. Yeah, I think my experience with those things when I was a kid was usually I'd find the disc, and I wasn't great about labeling discs. Yeah. So I'd just find it and I'd be like, oh, that's right. Like,
This.
Yeah, Shadowgate. Like, I'll play that. I haven't played that in months, and then make some progress and have a good time. But now everything's nice and on Steam or whatever.
So you talked about like you didn't label discs. Let's diverge before we sort of wrap this up. When you picked up a disc you hadn't labeled, did you still know what was on it?
Often, yes.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's Spy Hunter. How do you know that's Spy Hunter? Oh, I know, because of the markings. There's like little dots. Know. I know that's the Spy Hunter one.
Yeah. And then I'd end up with like 5 1/4 discs, multiple in one envelope, and that like I'd forget to take out the one in the back, and then I'd be like, "Oh my God, this is like, mate, I haven't played this in ages." It's in the way in the back in another envelope.
Yeah, or I'll think I shoved it in its envelope and I put it in another one, and then like, why is this one so hard to get?
Yeah, man, I miss those experiences. It's it's never going to be like that again.
It's never going to be quite like that. I do have glimmers of it in my Steam library sometimes because I'll get like a bundle of something and I'll be like, what do I want to play? When did I get that?
Right. Yeah.
Or back when Steam sales were really Steam sales and you're like, this is 50 cents. Whatever.
Yeah. Throw it in there. Yeah.
So, all right. Any other thoughts on Shadowgate?
No. I had a good time with it.
All right. Yeah,
It
me
was
too.
pleasant.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
So we will do this. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
Oh.
No, we're fine.
There we go. There's Zoro.
Zoro, our short game. Have you tried it yet?
I have not. Have you?
I have.
All right. I'm excited about it because I'm a big fan of the genre of video games. I was never a big Zoro fan, but I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. I've just been preoccupied with.
We've had other stuff.
Nothing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to talking about it.
That I read as a hint that I need to get on the ball because there's something there that
it's
either really frustrating or there's something interesting going on.
Give it some time. Like normally I say, we just need a day or so to figure this out. Nah, give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to really let it wash over you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Short game is Zoro. Next long game is
Darklands.
We have neither of us have played this.
Have never played this. And as a bit of trivia, this was the first game requested from a reviewer.
Wow. And here we are 4 to 5 years later, finly getting to it.
I'm sure they've
unsubscribed because of
that liar said he would play it and he's never played it. No.
Right. They're like the biggest Auto Duel fan ever, and then now they're just gone. Like that one guy.
Yeah, we had somebody else do a gripey thing that I'm not even going to address on a recent thing. It does happen sometimes.
Yeah, it's okay. If you're allowed to disagree with us, definitely.
We know who we are.
Yeah.
Middle-aged, politically correct nerds talking about games from 20 years ago. I'm good with all that.
Right, I'm comfortable with that.
So that's our long game. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's an RPG. I don't know if we're doing 2 months of it because we've never played it before.
Yeah, we'll both kind of dig in and maybe give you an update in a month. We'll either be doing a how to play or we'll be doing a review or a non-review.
A conversation, yeah. So that'll be that. And
it's so Germanic. Look at how Germanic that box cover was.
Right. Well, it's supposedly, as a fantasy game goes, like German historical medieval semi-realism. It's not going to be trolls and orcs and stuff. So
yeah. Interesting.
That'll be an interesting take. This Thursday,
Deathlord. Live
Deathlord. We are in an interesting situation where we've got most of the stuff we need.
Right.
Except levels.
Right. Except levels and ability.
So we will obviously, keep pushing. 9 Central Thursday on YouTube. We will stream this. Please come join us.
Yeah.
We love chatting while we're doing it. And
especially when it's kind of grindy, which I think we're going to be entering into. Like the last time we played, we made a ton of progress. Now I think we're going to be just grinding for a while.
Right. I think what we're going to do is, I don't want to say we're going to grind exclusively, but I would like to take us to some dungeons we maybe haven't seen before, explore some corners of the game you might not normally see, even if they're not necessarily plot derivatives. There's still things that make Deathlord special and really worth looking at. Tellengrand is famous in this if you've played Deathlord, Tellingrand is famous, and I kind of want to take you there.
Okay.
Might be worth going back to the linear dungeon and seeing if we can push through a little further.
Yeah, that's right. The swirly dungeon.
Yeah.
Fucking Deathlord.
Fucking Deathlord. Deathlord hates you, man. So that'll be what we're doing this Thursday.
Yeah. Join us.
Join us. Anything else?
That's all
Join
I
us
got.
from 6 feet away. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.